This is the Sober Boozers Club podcast.
Welcome everybody to the Sober Boozers Club podcast. My name is Ben Gibbs. I'm an alcoholic and I've been sober since January 2022. In that time, I have been navigating the world of alcohol-free beers, sampling some of the best that the world has to offer. In this podcast, we're going to talk to people from within these circles and find out a little bit about their journey. So you sit back, relax, and enjoy. In today's episode, I'm talking to Sonja Mitchell, who is the managing director and the founder of Ship Brewing. Now, Ship Brewing were the first ever alcohol-free dedicated brewery in Scotland, founded in December 2019. They've since gone on to win multiple awards, released some incredible beers. It was a crime I didn't have them on for season 1, so we've gone and fixed that. Sonja, hello. Thank you very much for coming and having a chat to me today. It's been 2024. Big year for you guys. 2025 is probably going to be even bigger, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
It's a busy time.
Yeah, and it feels like last year it was just it was like we started at zero. We were setting up the brewery, total blank slate. So a lot of last year was just about getting the brewery working, getting our production up and running, getting our systems in place, working out all the quirks and things that throw up when, brewing our beers on our own kit for the first time. Rounding up with the end of the year, we got our Salsa accreditation, which is this documentation that a lot of the bigger customers demand. So that was a huge amount of work for us as a small producer to get all of our systems and documents and all of that in place. So we've done all of that. So now this year feels like about making more beer, making more different beers and selling a lot more beer as well.
Or like actually doing the thing that you wanted to do.
Absolutely, yeah.
I suppose when you get into, brewing, and especially when it's alcohol free, there's a load of things that must crop up that you're like, nobody told me about that. Like all these horrible technicalities that you have to deal with in order to just make the liquid, sell the liquid, and make more of the liquid.
Yeah. The whole process is just a lot more finickety. And I think that's something I've learned a lot in the last 5 years. I started out pretty naive and not knowing much about it, just kind of very much coming into it as a beer drinker and the beer I wanted to drink and I couldn't find, and being very annoyed at that and deciding to brew my own. But then from that point onwards, it's been just one big learning adventure because just there's so many things that can go wrong. I mean, the fermentation itself, it's an organic process. We're dealing with live organisms, which for me is what makes brewing so exciting. But it will do different things. And I think for us in the brewery, it's going through the seasons. Like brewing in summer is different to brewing in winter because temperature is such an important part of our process, and how quickly the beer cools has quite an impact in the fermentation profile. So it's a kind of a process of continuous improvement and discovery.
So you say you started because you couldn't find the beer that you wanted to drink. How long have you been kind of looking for alcohol-free beer? Was it, or what kind of got you onto the hunt for alcohol-free beer that then led you to kind of setting this up?
Yeah. So I'm probably one of those people who had always discounted alcohol-free beer as something that was pretty disgusting and to be avoided at all costs. I kind of went through 3 pregnancies and didn't touch a drop of the stuff because I just thought I'd better off with water. And so it was January 2018. We did dry January. I think a friend a couple of months ago, previous to that, said, "Oh, I'm drinking alcohol-free beer, and I found this nice one." And I was a bit like, "Oh, okay." Mm-hmm. Well, so we got like the mixed case of alcohol-free beer from an online retailer and worked our way through it. And most of them were pretty disappointing. I think in that case, I had a very early big drop beer, which kind of was like, oh, this is a different approach to alcohol-free. They're just focusing on it. That's interesting. And I found one in the mix that I quite liked, and it was, I think it was the Kronbacher Pils. And so I started drinking that, and I had that Tuesday night beer without the Wednesday morning fuzzy head. And I was like, this is great. I can drink beer when I want to. But it wasn't the beer that I would normally drink. And I think having moved to Scotland in 2009, made it my home, got really excited about all the brewers I was discovering here. Edinburgh's got a brilliant brewing scene. And yet here I was drinking something different because I was avoiding alcohol. And then I just felt really annoyed that I was being forced to do something different at a point when I was trying to make a better choice for myself. And I didn't want to leave behind all the stuff I loved about beer, that kind of variety and the choice and discovery, and also that kind of sense of provenance that beer comes from somewhere. And yeah, I still can't quite explain why it became such a compulsion, but I think I was so irritated. And also I got a sense, the more I talked to people, I got a sense of opportunity, because I realized it wasn't just me who was on this journey, but actually a lot of people, friends, were looking at cutting back on alcohol, looking for better beers, and had this kind of curiosity. And so I just thought, well, maybe I'll just have a crack. And starting at the basic point of, well, can I make a beer that tastes better than what's out there already? I can't do that. There's no point. And just took it from there.
Yeah, I think, when you go to certain places and you can't find anything that you want to drink, it does definitely start that little spark in you thinking, why isn't this available? Someone should make this happen. And I think we're very lucky now, because there are so many places that do good stuff. But that's only really been over the last maybe 3 years.
Yeah, definitely. And it's changing so much. I mean, it's what's, I think, really interesting for us this year is January has always been about direct to consumer. So website sales are really important. Lots of people are, it's really good from a PR and marketing. There's lots of interview opportunities and interest. But on-trade is pretty dead. But we haven't seen that this year. So our on-trade customers have just kept going, which suggests to me that people are still going out. And I think they've got the confidence to go out and expect to get a really good alcohol-free beer. And that to me that's a change that's happened in 12 months. That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm noticing that, beforehand going out places, I'd rely on online maps to find places that sold something that I could drink, or I'd be looking ahead at venues and trying to find drinks menus and things like that. And they're always outdated. Online drinks menus, so you'd think you were going to get something good and they'd just have nothing. But now I kind of don't do that anymore, and it's not through a lack of caring. It's more 50% of the time now when I go somewhere, there's going to be something really good. Yeah. And quite often you'll find something on tap just in a random bar, even if it happens to be a Lucky Saint or a Freedom or, one of the generic ones. But you'll see pubs with rotational taps that are on constantly with different brews. And that's really exciting. And that has only been the last 12 months. I've really noticed that. And I think it will continue to grow. Well, I hope it continues to grow. It certainly seems like it's going to, especially after this January, with how many new beers have been released.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was sort of market sitting about 3% retail, 1.5% on trade. I think we'll get to 10% easily. I think it's, once you've found that alcohol-free beer that you enjoy and discover, then there's no going back. I think you just drink more of it. And it's just the easiest way to manage your alcohol intake and feel healthier and better. So I think there's just so many benefits for it. I think it's only going to go one way.
Yeah, I hope so. Because, for me, in terms of, I drink alcohol-free beer because I can't drink alcohol. And I'm just a small portion of the people that will drink this stuff. I have to remind myself quite often that, it's not just alcoholics that can enjoy alcohol-free beer. But it was the biggest tool at my disposal for giving up alcohol, because I could still have something in my hand that I wanted to drink. And I didn't have to feel like I was missing something that I really loved. If anything, it was another step on the journey into the world of beer. I've learned so much about beer since giving up alcohol. It's a whole other part of the brewing process and the science behind it. Speaking of this, we need to talk about a particular beer that you can probably guess I'm going to mention.
The Gose?
Yep, that's the one. That is an art form in a can. The way that is brewed, how do you even begin?
Yeah, it's really. I mean, and the sour beers have certainly been some of the most challenging brews that we've done, and also the most kind of exciting. Because you can sour a beer by adding lactic acid, but that's quite a sort of a one-dimensional. You're getting sourness, but you're not getting the full flavor complexity. So we've taken a fairly sort of purist approach to how we do it. So we're starting off with lactobacillus. So it's a kind of a bacterial fermentation before we get to yeast. And so with the Gooseberry Gose, we sort of started with the wort, so the barley and water mixture, added gooseberries, whole fruit, and then the lactobacillus, and then we kept it warm for a week or two, and that is really nerve-wracking as a non-alcoholic brewer, because we're not in control at that point, and everything we do is very controlled, and even we don't have sort of really expensive alcohol testing equipment on site, so we generally send off for laboratory testing, and so we're using the spectrometers, which is it's a very cool piece of equipment. It probably hasn't changed for hundreds of years, but it kind of measures the consumption of sugars, because generally with yeast, they're consuming the sugars and that converts into alcohol. But in like a wild fermentation, you've got all sorts of bacteria and things consuming sugars. So we were kind of blind for the first couple of weeks until we got the lab results back, which was terrifying. But we were getting these really incredible flavors going. There's a sort of slight sort of funkiness that you get from lactic fermentation. And then sort of the way, sort of once we were happy with it, we sort of boiled it up to stop everything, and then blended it with another brew to get everything all coming together. But until the kind of final point where we got the final measurement, it's like, yes, we are less than 0.5. but yeah, but fruit is full of sugars, because it's the other thing that we always we're really controlling the amount of available sugars. So then to just chuck a load of sugarful fruit into it as well, it's kind of turning quite a few of our own rules on its head. And yeah, so I think we're continuing to develop the process for how we do our sour beers, to continue to get that flavor and to try and make it slightly less stressful for us as well. Looking at sort of how and when we add fruit is kind of an important part of that. Do we just rely on the lactobacillus, or do we add some yeast? I don't think we're quite sort of, each one we're doing it slightly differently, and we're learning, and then I think we'll become sort of fine-tuned in how we do it. But it's important for me to do these difficult beers, because that's why we've got our own brewery. We can't do this kind of stuff contracted out. We need to kind of fiddle with it and test it and taste it and obsess anxiously over it to get different results, and to kind of have that variety and choice, which is what I wanted when I sort of cut back on alcohol.
Yeah, but then you listen to that and you'll get, I don't get this very often anymore, but initially I did, which was, sort of 3 years ago that I started getting into this world, and you get people say, oh, it's not proper beer, it's not real beer. And it's like, well, what's not proper about it? Like, just listening to that, like, this is how we made this drink. What's not proper about that? It's wild. Yeah. Like the process that goes into it is exactly the same, right? It's just you don't want ethanol to be produced at the end.
Yeah, and it's that same thing. It's like, why are your beers expensive? And it's like, well, where's the value? Is the value just purely in that alcohol? Then, well, you might as well just go and buy vodka. If the value is the taste and the flavor and all of the that's gone into creating something really interesting and fulfilling to drink, then that's your alcohol-free craft beer.
Yeah, I had this argument with someone. It was, weirdly, TikTok is, for me, the most toxic place on the internet.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of people say, like, oh, TikTok's so much friendlier and so much more lovely. I've had some horrible conversations on TikTok to the point where I've started wanting to challenge it a little bit. And it's like, no, if you're going to say, oh, what's the point? And I'll say, okay, well, flavor. And when you say flavor, that they then go on to, yeah, but I like my alcohol, my beer to get, see, I'm doing it already. I like my beer to get me drunk. And it's like, all right, well, what's the point in you drinking a beer then? Why don't you, like you say, have a vodka? In fact, what's the point of vodka? Why don't you go and shoot up? I said that to someone once and they were like, all right, calm down. And it's like, well, let's use your logic here. If the only point of a drink is to get you plastered, and yet you're preaching that you love this liquid, and you're disrespecting beer, if anything, by saying the only way a beer can be proper is if it's got high ABV.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there's so much more to beer than that. I mean, I wish I could have told myself that when I was an alcohol drinker, because, you know, I was a big fan of the Red Stripe and the Pilsners with the, you know, the yellow can with the green top.
Yeah.
The name of it. Like, I loved them, and I can't think of anything worse now. But yeah, it's mad when you actually talk to people that brew this stuff, and you hear the processes that go into it. And like, because every style of beer is different, like the way that you approach it. And having got into it, I mean, you guys were Scotland's first alcohol-free brewery, right?
Yeah.
So there's got to have been a lot of trial and error from your part, because there wasn't really a rule book in how to do this.
No, and I didn't realise that at the start. So I did recipe development on small kits, so it's 100 litres, and then wrote out a process sheet from that to then take to a commercial brewery to get them to replicate it. And I think at that point, I didn't realise how little anyone really knew about alcohol-free brewing. I mean, I knew that I didn't know anything because I wasn't a brewer. So I kind of went into it thinking I'd be very reliant on people I was working with to just sort it out, and the beer would turn out all right. But because it kept not turning out all right, I kind of realised actually this was just new, and no one really knew how to do it, and I was the one who cared most about it. So it was up to me to really get under the skin of everything and try and manage everything to get the flavour that I was after. So it was a very, very steep learning curve.
Yeah. And have you found since like those early days, you're getting breweries now come to you in terms of, oh, we're wanting to do XYZ alcohol free. Can you help us a little bit? Yeah,
definitely. And I think with our own sort of brewery now, it's like you brew it for us. So I mean, the thing that is a kind of a real killer for the small craft alcohol free production is the pasteurization side of it. It's that's not a process that most small brewers have. But it's one that we've invested in because that's how we can get the shelf life on the can.
Yeah, I think that has been a real boon for alcohol-free recently, is I'm getting cans in my hand now that don't go out of date for like over 12 months.
Yeah,
Oh, this is like the amount of beer that I've wasted because I've had it and it's been sat in my fridge, and it's like, no, I don't want to drink that yet because I want to do this video on it, and I can't be bothered to do that right now, which is such a first world problem for me, but it's a real problem. And then there's cans that's like 6 months out now, and I just don't trust it with it being alcohol free. Like, one, for alcohol, I don't understand enough about it to know how that's going to affect me, and also like alcohol kills everything, doesn't it?
Yeah, alcohol's a brilliant preservative. You know, it's and that's just the basic premise of your beer, is that you've gone through a full fermentation. There's no residual sugars left that could kick off another fermentation, and the beer has kind of got that alcohol content. So because we don't have, you know, we now beer certainly still got residual sugars flying around in it that our yeast could get to work in, and we don't have that alcohol. And I also don't want to put in a load of chemical preservatives, which is you might find in some beers. So pasteurization is the way to kind of keep it as natural as possible. And it's another step in the process, and it's not cheap. So yes, and that was when I didn't have the brewery and I was contract producing. That was kind of the hardest part, was putting together the brew slots and the canning slot and making sure that we could do it. It was a real headache.
Yeah, I think I looked into it once just on because I still get like drunken impulses, even if I don't drink. It's like I'll be sat and it'll be like midnight on a weeknight and I should be in bed because I've got work tomorrow, but then I'll go, wonder if I could make a beer. And then I'll let my brain run for a little bit and start looking at it and go, no, that's ridiculous. Whereas, beforehand, I'd have just gone, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put all my money into it, like right now. But just from a really brief look into what that looks like, it's so much work. Like, I can't even begin to imagine. So then, as you say, when people come at you with the price of things, it's like, well, what do you expect? Like, you can get a very cheap alcohol-free beer in Home Bargains, but you're going to know that it's a very cheap alcohol-free beer from Home Bargains. If we're invested in good beer, because there is a place for the cheap stuff, like that's fine, but I don't want to be drinking that. Like, I value my beverage too much. It's like, it's a treat, isn't it? You want to enjoy it. Like, no one's saying that you should replace tap water with alcohol-free beer. That would just be silly.
Yeah. And when you're drinking it for flavour, you're kind of really taking the time to experience it and enjoy it and get that value from it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really important thing, I think. It's like, it becomes a ritual, or it's definitely a ritual for me. I mean, I've said so many times, I still drink like an addict. It's just the stuff now doesn't get me drunk. But I get stressed if I don't have good beer in the house. It's all right. This is my little treat. This is the thing that I like to do for myself. So why shouldn't I spend money on it? And why shouldn't I give breweries money for it? It's industry.
Why I kind of love to be, and it feels such a privilege to be doing what we're doing. So to be able to give people that treat. And I think people come up to me, and I sometimes hear some quite emotional stories about how they've cut out alcohol, why they've had to cut out alcohol, and how through this really difficult time, being able to drink our beer has really helped and made a difference. And, if we're a little part of making people's everyday life better, then that feels pretty good.
Yeah, it is a really important sector of the industry, I think. I've said before, it saved my life. And it did, because I wouldn't have stopped drinking if there weren't good options available. And I might not have carried on with this sobriety journey that I'm on if I hadn't found this community and been able to put my time into something.
Yeah.
Because just talking about sobriety for me is like, I'm 3 years in now. I'm not bored of it. I've kind of got nothing left to say. It's just regular living. And I'm never going to be one of these people that's like, oh, so today I woke up and I had this craving, but I fought through it and I beat it. It's like, no, I didn't. I'm 3 years in. I didn't wake up and have a craving. I can't create that narrative for the internet. But alcohol-free beer is constantly coming out, constantly new beers that are being released. There's constantly more people that are wanting to try it for the first time. It's like, okay, I can help by just saying, this exists, this exists, this exists. And within 3 years, we're pushing 1,000 beers.
That's
I wouldn't have thought that was possible.
No, that is amazing. And there's still more. Like, I saw you posting about alcohol-free Old Peculiar, and I'm like, who'd have thought it? Wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, in my video fridge, I've got a 2-film fridge, and I've got my duplicate fridge, where it's like, the duplicate fridge is just, I can just drink this and not have to go and set up my camera and film and tell everyone to be quiet in my house. And then I've got my 2-film fridge, which is like a tiny little mini fridge, but there's 40 bloody cans in there at the moment. And I've got 28 videos on my phone that I haven't edited yet. And I'm just like, when am I going to get to all of these?
Yeah. And have a job and everything else goes on.
Yeah, because this doesn't pay my mortgage. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, there's so many beers. And I would not have thought for a second that you'd be able to access all of these incredible beers, not just from the UK either. Like, you've got European imports from people like OMP, amazing beers coming out in America and Japan. Who knew that Japan had such an alcohol-free market? Apparently it's second below Germany for alcohol-free beer consumption.
Oh, I did not know that.
I didn't know that either. It might not even be true anymore, but I definitely read that once and thought, what? Nah, that's not true. And then didn't look any further into it. So don't quote me on that. But the amount of beers is my point. Just ridiculous. And new ones being released all the time as well.
Yeah. It's exciting times.
And speaking of this, you showed me something before we started talking here.
I did.
It's very exciting.
It's
about this.
Yeah. So Stoker Stout is one of our core beers that we've been producing for 2 or 3 years now. And kind of always had this, and it always had this curiosity about nitro canning and doing a nitro version of our stout, which, and basically the difference, like we normally carbonate our beers because there isn't enough fermentation to produce that fizz. We have to add extra carbon dioxide as we can it. Carbon dioxide bubbles, produce fizz, and they kind of lift the flavour and give some of the body in the mouthfeel. Nitrogen bubbles are different to carbon dioxide bubbles. They're smaller, so they create a really different mouthfeel. So obviously Guinness is the legendary stout. They've done such an incredible marketing team. So kind of I think there is an expectation of smoothness with stout. And so it's kind of see, well, what happens if we did a nitro version of our Stoker's stout? We sent it. So we this is the first beer we've produced here that we haven't been able to can on site because we don't have that capability yet. But if people tell us they really like this and they want us to produce lots of it, then I can look at making that upgrade to our canning line. So we sent it away. We've done it in the big 440ml can.
Nice.
Put a bit of gold on it, which just really for my own pleasure. And and we got the cans back a couple of days ago. So really sort of nerve-wracking to see whether we were going to get the vote. Practicing that hard pour to put it upside down in the glass. And do you want me to open this for you now? It's not great for radio, is it?
I mean, yeah, go for it. Like it's anticipation, isn't it?
Yeah, cool. I shall grab a glass. 1 second.
Yeah, man.
Right, here we go.
Yeah, this really excites me.
There we go. I might have to adjust my background. There we go. So here we have first public pour of Stoker's Stout Extra Smooth.
Look at that.
You can see all those little nitrogen.
Yeah, that was magic.
There we go.
That's beautiful. That must be such a triumphant moment. That first.
I mean,
it's like it's doing the thing, right?
Yeah.
You know what? The only downside of these nitro stouts is I have the hardest water in my house, and every time it's like, nope, dirty glass, and it infuriates me.
Yeah, that's the benefit of being in Scotland is the soft water, so our glasses discriminate so much. Yeah,
I've got apparently rinse aid, dishwasher rinse aid apparently is quite good. I haven't tried it yet. I've got some rinse aid, but I don't have a dishwasher. So yeah, maybe this will be the beer that I bring the rinse aid out for. Brilliant.
I feel like maybe I should send you a polished glass to pour it into.
That would be most welcome.
Would you like a pint glass?
That would be amazing. That'd be amazing. I'll make sure that I use it because glassware is so important, I think. And on the alcohol-free front, there's nothing worse than when you go to a pub and you ask for a dusty beer from the back of the fridge, and they serve it you in a Coke glass or a soft drinks glass, and it just immediately ruins everything. And maybe that's me taking it a bit far, but I think it's, it is the presentation and the ritual of having a drink, isn't it? It's important.
Yeah. And it was really funny, last night I was pouring myself a beer and all the glasses I wanted were in the dishwasher, and I had just a tumbler that the kids drink their squash in, and I'm like, no, I cannot use that glass. I'm gonna keep hunting because that's not the experience. So I think these things are really, really important.
I think so. And you were describing the process of the nitro stout, and it just came into my brain, like, you wouldn't know that this was alcohol free. And I know we're going back to it, like we said with the Gose, but the only time when you're talking about like making this liquid and the taste profile of it, and even the distribution of it and setting up the brewery and pasteurization, the only time ABV comes into the conversation is when you say, but it's alcohol free, or someone says, but it's alcohol free. Like, it doesn't even have to feature in conversation, does it? It's really not important when you're talking about the process and then the subsequent drinking of the liquid.
Yeah. And I think that's why draft is so important to this category, because then it is totally normalized. I'll have a pint of that. It comes in a pint glass. It's a beer in a pint glass. Does it matter if it's 0.5 or 4.5? It's a beer. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's something that I'm really going to hope to see accelerate in the next few years. That it just becomes normal that every pub has an alcohol-free tap.
Yeah. Do you think that is the future of it? Do you think it has to be?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's going to take a bit longer, and I think because the pubs need to look after their lines as well.
Yeah.
It's a more delicate beer. It's a bit. I kind of always think it's a bit like cask, looking after your cask beers. That they're more delicate. Mm-hmm. So I think that might sort of slow it down a bit. But I think in terms of people's expectations, that's what we should be expecting. We should be able to expect to go into a pub and get a pint of really good alcohol-free beer alongside all the other choices.
Yeah.
Because then you're being treated equally to everyone else who's come into that pub.
Yeah, and you don't have to you don't have to say the words alcohol-free if you don't want to. I think that was such a trigger for me early on, was, what's your alcohol-free beer selection?
Yeah.
Oh, it's Beck's Blue. Okay, fine. Can I have some lemonade as well? But I don't mind it taking a little bit longer if it means the quality is good, because I'll never forget my first Mash Gang on tap. It was terrible.
Oh, really?
So disappointed. And I knew instantly, as soon as they poured it up, it was like, you've got dirty lines here. Like, as soon, and it was like, nope, it tasted like wrong. Mm-hmm. And I know that wasn't the Mash Gang liquid, like, for a fact.
Yeah. And you're someone who knows beers and knows that that's not what the beer should be. And there's other people who'll go in and have a pint of that. Yeah. And they'll be like, oh, alcohol-free beer is crap. And that's the end of that journey.
And then it gets even, I mean, this is in extreme circumstances, but how many people in their sobriety journey get into real trouble because they've had one bad alcohol-free beer and it's ruined it for them? It's probably not that many, but one is too many.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I mean, that's how deep I think about these things. That's why I'm so obsessed with the liquid, because it's like, I will put that flag in the ground and say this stuff saves lives. But, bad alcohol-free beer, you can't, it's very hard to break that stigma. And the industry has done so well for the last few years for it to suddenly go out everywhere on tap and it just not be good. I think it would be a real shame. Like, I think it was a Cloudwater as well. And I was drinking it and a friend of mine was drinking it and he just kept saying, why is it so flat? And I was like, it's because of... Stop saying the beer's flat. Say, what have they done to this? Because I've had Cloudwater elsewhere on tap and it's been excellent.
Yeah.
So I think it's education, isn't it, that needs to be kind of distributed amongst hospitality venues.
And I think trust at all levels between sort of the brewers and the venues, and then ultimately so that the person who's ordering that pint gets the best possible pint. And then, because I think we've done so much in the last 5 years since I've been doing Jump Ship. When I first launched, I did a bit of Facebook advertising back in 2020, and it was horrible, the comments I was getting. And it was like,
get onto this and ask how.
Yeah. And it was kind of, and it followed into direct messages and things like that. And I was just like, how are you getting so offended by this? Like, I'm just producing a choice for people who want it, and people seem to take it as a personal attack. It is fascinating. but also not nice when you're kind of running a small business by yourself and it's 11 o'clock at night, someone's sending you nasty messages. In a pandemic, it's like, for goodness sake.
Yeah. It's like, we could all die here, and you're worried about them taking away your 5% lager.
Yeah,
Like,
indeed. It just, it was mind-boggling, and I think that has really dropped away. I mean, you still get some numpties, but
of course you do.
it's the general crowd is like, yeah, this is cool. This is normal, and it's just such a nicer space to be in.
I think I'm quite lucky in that regard, because I've got the I'm an alcoholic thing to throw at them. It's so funny the amount of comments that I'll get where it's like, oh, drink a proper beer, or say something along those lines, and you go, yes, but I am an actual alcoholic. And the amount of times people are like, the conversation finishes with being, oh, well done to you for giving it up. And it's like, yeah, cool. Like, shut up. Get in your lane now. But I can imagine early on it was really difficult. Like, because I suppose you've got like I can't relate to this because I'm lucky enough to have been born a white man. But you've got two things here, like, woman sets up alcohol-free brewery. Like, I can imagine for some people that was just like, no, this can't be.
Yeah. No, there's definitely, and I think there was an element of, now, young lady, I don't think you really know what you're doing.
Right.
Can I just take a bit of time to point out where you're going wrong? Because I'm certainly not able to work that out for yourself. And really, you should be leaving this to the big boys who know what they're doing and want a proper pint.
Right.
Yeah.
Jesus. I love the planet. I love this world sometimes. But within the industry, like the alcohol-free sector, it feels a lot more kind of like friendly than you hear about the full alc sector, maybe historically.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's it is a friendly space, and I think it's interesting for me if you look at the sort of the three breweries in the UK who are producing their own specialist non-alc. You've got Nirvana, Drop Bear, and Jump Ship, woman owned and led, which is interesting.
Yeah. It's probably a point that doesn't get talked about enough.
No, I don't know whether I don't know, but it's.
I think it's important. Like, you look at the rest of the country, right, and it's just, it's still very one-way leaning.
Yeah.
So I think that is huge.
Yeah. But I think also as kind of like as craft brewers, we've got the macro competition, and that there's no point really fighting amongst each other. We kind of it's better to be kind of create a supportive environment where we're lifting everyone up, because at a sort of as a macro level, it's really tough trying to get into pubs when there's distribution deals with all the big, there's so much of the market that in some ways is already sewn up that we're all want to give choice. And
same reason, and
if we can get more people excited and enthusiastic about alcohol-free beer, then it benefits everyone.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like, as the market grows, hopefully the people that have been there from the start of it will continue to grow with it. Like, there's a range of breweries that when you first start looking into this stuff, that you discover that are doing it year in, year out. They're not just dropping small batch brews in January.
Yeah.
So no, this is an everyday thing for these people, and I think it's really important that these people are recognised for the groundwork that they put in. Really, it was huge. It's probably one of the biggest social revolutions that we're going to see.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
It's people's change towards drinking and the mentality towards drinking alcohol-free beer. Like, who would have thought that we would have been at the British Guild of Beer Award? Like, if you'd have said that 10 years ago, or even 5 years ago,
I think even 5 years ago.
How many people were coming to drink alcohol-free beer there? And there was no one looked down their nose at it, or at least not openly. It's huge.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting as well that how will it change everything in terms of how people socialize, or so I think there's some things that are quite shifty. Certainly, I think nightclubs are finding it a lot harder. But I think pubs are beginning to see that this isn't the end of the pub, but maybe there's aspects of the pub that are a bit different. The pubs are a bit different, busier at different times of day. That kind of early evening and lunchtime is a lot more important than it used to be. But bottom line is people are still going out. Like that, I think it used to be that not drinking meant not going out, and that's not the case anymore. It's just going out and drinking differently.
Yeah, and still being able to drink volume.
Yeah.
Like, because I want to be out because I want to socialise.
Absolutely.
You know, when my social battery is drained, be that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 3 in the morning, that's when I'll leave. But I want to drink different beers because they're just nice. The kind of myth of they'll buy one drink and then they'll go home, like that did used to be the case, but it's not anymore because the stuff is just good and continuing to get better.
Yeah, we've got our 5th birthday party tomorrow night, and we're going to have 4 different taps, and I'm very excited to have having at least 4 pints, maybe 6 pints.
Yeah, exactly. And it's all good. It's all good. It's mad for 5 years.
Yeah.
You've seen the real growth from the days of, I mean, what else was even out there 5 years ago? I'm not clued up on this at all. I know Big Drop were around.
Yeah, I think
I remember people talking about Big Drop.
Yeah, so Big Drop were, I think, maybe 2018. I think like somewhere around then. Lucky Saint came out sort of early 2019. And then I was sort of Drop Bear were kind of mid 2019. I was kind of start of 2020. And then like Mash Gang started appearing around that same time.
Yeah.
I think Heineken Zero was about 2018, I think. Guinness Zero came and then went and then came back again. So yeah, it's quite mind-boggling. And if you look how, you know, like where Lucky Saint is after sort of 5 years, and you know they've done a great job in sort of opening up the draft category, but not out. The size of Guinness Zero in the space of a couple of years is just bonkers.
Yeah, ridiculous. It's the first thing people say. It's always, and I think that what Guinness have done is actually quite important to people's perception of the industry. Is because I think Guinness is fine. Like, it's just fine. I don't think it's incredible as a liquid, but I think what they've done as a brand is incredible because people trust Guinness and they'll buy a Guinness and go, oh no, this will be all right. If I'm going to drink anything alcohol free, I'll drink this because I know it and I know what it should taste like, and it's pretty close. So I think people trying that and then going, oh, that stuff's all right, then they're more willing to go, oh, well, what's that like? What's that like? What's that like? So,
yeah, absolutely. Like, I think for me, it's really important that the big brands take the category seriously and do a good job with it, because their reach is far beyond anything we can do as a small business. But if you have a good experience with one of like the established brands, then it kind of de-risks trying maybe something you've not heard of before.
Yeah, this is why I get so angry with Heineken and brands like that, like Birra Moretti, Peroni, all of these like staple supermarket beers that are just not up to scratch, in my opinion. I think it's so damaging for everyone. It's damaging for consumers and it's damaging for people that are trying to make real good stuff, because people will have had these negative experiences with supermarket beers and go, no, I'm not going to buy that. It's going to taste like that other stuff that I don't like. So hopefully that changes, but also I kind of don't think they deserve to profit from it. So it's like a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Maybe. I mean, Proper Job is very good. I'll say this. In terms of supermarket beers, Proper Job releasing in Morrison's was a very big deal for me.
Yeah.
I think that's really excellent and hopefully a sign of things to come. Because that's, again, one of his beers that I didn't think we'd ever get in alcohol-free.
Yeah.
And it's how you can see that the industry is definitely catching up and people are going, right, we need to get on with this now.
Yeah.
Put something out that's good.
Definitely. And I think with that traditional British beer, it can, like, the early examples are quite kind of that weird malty sweetness going on.
Horrific, yeah. Like, you will never taste anything that compares to a bad English ale that's alcohol-free. It's like, what even is this? It's like caramel, but made by robots. That's beyond so bizarre.
Yeah, so to see some really good examples coming through, because it just makes it a more exciting category to be in. So yeah, it's good times, and I'm kind of looking forward to this year coming up and getting our beer into more places, and just continuing that sort of discovery.
Mm-hmm. Is that your main aim for this year, do you think, is more get that core range out to more people? Or have you got any kind of passion projects that you'd really like to see happen? Obviously, you've got the Nitro Stout that's coming.
Okay, got the Nitro Stout coming out.
Very exciting.
I think it's getting our sort of core range into more places and being more available and better known. I think we're a little bit Scotland's best kept secret, and then continuing to innovate and try different things. So we'll definitely be looking at, a follow-on to the Gooseberry Gose this summer. It won't be a Gooseberry Gose, I'm afraid, but it will be something kind of
good for me to try new things. It's fine. Otherwise I get held up on them and I'll never move on.
So something kind of fruity and sour. I'm kind of interested to kind of look at the sort of the isotonic properties of beer, and could understanding more what that aspect of the liquid look like, and what we could do more there, and more collaborations as well. That's kind of a really fun thing to do, to work with different breweries. And I think to see more draft in more places. And I think what's great now is that we're able to do sort of just small batch kegs, so to increase that variety of different styles on offer, particularly within Edinburgh, local craft beer pubs and tap rooms. So that's going really well. Nice.
Well, I look forward to seeing more liquid coming from Scotland down to Birmingham very soon, hopefully.
Brilliant.
I can't wait to try that the Nitro Stout, and whatever it is you release in the summer, I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Hopefully we'll sleep better when we're brewing it this time around.
Yeah. Once you've done it once, it's fine, isn't it? You've done it before. Just copy and paste it. Nothing could go wrong, can it?
Yeah.
If only.
Yeah. Brilliant. All right. Well, thank you so much for the chance to chat.
No, thank you for coming and giving me some of your time. It's been really interesting and really nice to talk to people that actually make this stuff and kind of demystify the process a little bit. I mean, I'm still baffled as to how it all works, but it's still interesting. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Sober Boozers Club podcast. My name is Ben Gibbs. You can find me on all the socials at Sober Boozers Club. For more information on Jump Ship, go and check them out on their website. Get yourself a can of that Stoker's Stout Extra Smooth, because it has since been released and it is banging. A really, really solid stout. I really enjoyed it. I think you will too. You guys take care, and I'll catch you very soon.